The story begins with several people laughing at a nighttime festival under the intense glow of the moonlight, commenting on how it is such a beautiful night to have fun. Suddenly, a man appears eating a meat dumpling while crying. The people around him are shocked by the scene of the man eating. One man questions whether they should stop him from eating so much, saying that he might die if he continues like that and wondering why he is crying while feasting on such a wholesome meal. Another man replies, saying this might be the first time the other has seen that fat man eating. That man is well known in Hunan. Because of his clothing and his size? Yes, and you claim to be a merchant. You shouldn't judge people solely by their appearance. You have much to learn. Possibly, the man who was mocking the fat man wasn't from the area, but he must have heard of him at some point. That fat man achieved an unprecedented feat, uniting all the merchant unions across Hunan. He unified all the merchant unions in Hunan? Yes, it's that man, the great, literally large, merchant who unified them all. Yong Waren of the Ocean Sky Merchant Union? Suddenly, a woman points her finger at him and commands him to stop. A normal person eats 3 servings of meat in a day. This fat man has already eaten 3 days' worth of food in one meal. Please stop eating, she says, trying to pull him away. I can't believe he was known for his good looks when he was younger, she continues. If he keeps eating like this, it will have grave consequences for his health. But if I don't keep eating, the nightmare will continue haunting me, that day of nightmares. Do you really intend to die living like this, Waren? Yanawa, says the fat man, tears streaming down his face. Moments later, a carriage is seen in the middle of a forest. Waren reflects, these jewels, this wealth, it's all meaningless now. I've been trying to heal a wound that will never close with gluttony and expensive jewels. The pain of losing people can only be healed by people, even if the nightmares of that day still haunt me. Yanawa, standing by, refers to him as Young Master, even though it has been ages since Waren was known as the Young Master of the Tianzhong clan. Now he is the head of the Ocean Sky Merchant Union. However, to Yanawa he will always be the Young Master of the Tianzhong clan, regardless of how much time has passed. Waren notices that Yanawa has developed a few warts on her face, a sign of aging. He recalls how, when he left the clan and married the daughter of another family, Yanawa followed him and continued to serve him. She is not merely a servant, she is family. If not for her, I would already be dead, he thinks, remembering the day the Tianzhong clan met its end. Waren had once despised his own family, hating his father more than anything in the world. From now on, this thing will stand in my place, he had declared, leaving a statue behind as a proxy for himself. If father asks for me, point him to this statue. Sometime after, he revolted against the entire family. Despite being the eldest son and the next leader of a once prosperous martial arts clan, he was effectively sold into the Ocean Sky Merchant Union through a political marriage, a proposal he did not reject. Years later, the Tianzhong clan was attacked by the Dabi sect. In the end, Waren witnessed the entire history, his clan and his family being consumed by flames. Even though he had hated his father, he realized in the end that he had loved him deeply. Consumed by rage, he had mutilated himself in front of his father's statue while Yanawa screamed desperately for him to stop, fearing he would die. Both of them cried uncontrollably. From now on, things will change, Waren decides. I will mend my relationship with my wife and stop being fat. I've spent too much time lamenting. Now, it's time to focus on my current family and ensure their well-being. He worries about how cold his wife can sometimes seem, but he reassures himself. Yanawa is part of this family too. I must carry on. Suddenly they are struck by another human. Waren shouts for Yanawa as their carriage is destroyed by some kind of projectile. He is thrown aside as a long-haired, bloodied old man crashes against a tree, complaining about his organs being shattered. Ninjas appear in the forest, attacking the old man. One of them stabs the old man's hand, declaring there is no chance of escape. How dare you betray me? The old man demands as the ninjas stab his chest repeatedly. Goodbye, dear master, one of the ninjas says. If I don't grind and drink you alive, I'll never be recognized as the demon master, the old man declares, emitting an intense red aura. Meanwhile, Waren finally regains consciousness. As he rises, he finds Yanawa lying on the ground, covered in blood. When he approaches her, he realizes she is already dead and screams in despair, cursing his sudden misfortune. Back at the scene of the old man, after slaughtering the ninjas, he crawls and whispers that he needs a new body before his heart stops. He will use the spirit possession technique. Coughing up more blood, he resigns himself to the end, lamenting that no one is near. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling him an old fool. It's Waren, cursing him for killing a member of his family. She got caught up in your mess. Why did you have to fight here? Say something, you old bastard. My family is gone. You shouldn't. The old man murmurs before swiftly striking Warren 3 times with pressure point attacks, leaving his body immobilized. You shouldn't treat an injured old man like this, the old man says mockingly. Warren, despite knowing he is a martial artist, loses his composure. Damn it. As this is his last chance to use the spirit possession technique, the old man decides to settle for a young and capable body, even if it is the body of a pig. The old man channels 160 years of martial essence, true chi, into his left hand and his soul into his right hand, transferring both into Warren's body. Suddenly both bodies fall to the ground. Then Warren rises with a dark smile. The old man's possession was a success. Yet something is amiss. Warren's soul is resisting, determined not to die. He will survive and take vengeance for his clan. The old man is astonished by Warren's strength but begins suppressing his soul. Warren's consciousness starts to fade. Unexpectedly, a ninja who had survived appears behind them. So, the old man can transfer bodies? Truly impressive, demon master. No wonder countless demon cultivators across the 3 demon heavens call you their master. But this ends here. Curse it all. Just as the spirit possession technique was about to complete, the old man mutters as the ninja pierces his throat. A red aura bursts forth. Suddenly, everything seems to dissolve. Warren awakens in a strange place, a medicinal shop it seems. His throat is dry. Drinking water, he tastes a strange medicinal flavor. Then, noticing his hands are younger, he panics and drops the bowl. What's wrong with my hands? Abruptly, Yanawa, looking much younger, enters the room, alarmed. Young master, what happened? Yanawa? Is it really you? He stares in disbelief. Young master, did you have another nightmare tonight? Perhaps, this is another dream. To test, he steps on broken glass. Young master, why are you stepping on glass? The pain feels real, too real. Could this be? Young master, you shouldn't leave with an injury on your foot. Warren looks around, bewildered. Nearby, he sees the statue, the same one he had headbutted in his sorrow. It stands before him as if nothing had ever happened. Yanawa, this statue that refuses to let me meet its father. When was it brought into the house? That was about 5 days ago, young master, Yanawa replied. 5 days? The protagonist began piecing things together. Yanawa was puzzled, but suddenly as red energy radiated from him, he headbutted the statue with all his strength, shattering it into pieces. Young master? So this isn't a dream, he murmured. He didn't know how he had returned to the past, but upon seeing that statue, he realized he still had 3 years to prevent the destruction of his clan. Meanwhile, all the servants stared in shock at the raw display of power. With a serious expression, the protagonist decided then and there that he would protect his family and the Tianzhong clan. The Tianzhong clan was a martial clan near Hunan in the Tianzhong Mountains. There were several families that had once borne the mountain's name, but long ago the Yong family had unified them all. The people of Hunan began calling them the Tianzhong Yong clan. Those who remembered those times still praised the clan. However, the fame of the Tianzhong Yong clan had long faded, and people no longer spoke of them with reverence. They had become just another martial clan, the Tianzhong clan. In the next scene, a man was shown drinking tea. That was 30 years ago, he said. I don't understand why we haven't produced any martial arts experts since the late leader Yong Go-sang, the supreme dragon of Hunan. It was then revealed that the man was Yong Biyang, head of the Tianzhong clan. Everyone considers our clan a shadow of its former self. It's sad to think that we can't even deny it. Let us pray and hope that Warren recovers and becomes the leader who will guide us toward a better future. Turning to his wife, he asked, Are you aware that he hates me? He hates his own father, she replied. Biyang nodded solemnly. He knew that marrying again so soon after his wife's death had been a mistake. He thought time would heal his son's pain, but instead, it had only deepened the chasm between them. When he visited his son 5 days ago, he had placed a statue in the garden and told him, If you want to speak to me, you can speak to this statue. It will represent you. As Biyang reflected, Yanawa suddenly appeared, shouting, Clan head. Yanawa, why are you so agitated this early in the morning? Young Master Warren? She broke into tears. Stop crying and tell me what's happening, Yanawa. Young Master Warren is injured and unconscious. What? The scene shifted to show Warren lying unconscious in his room, dreaming. In his dream, he was playing by a waterfall with a woman. Warren, why do you love playing by these cascading waters so much? Because, mother, there are so many koi fish here. Look, mother, I caught a really big one. But suddenly, mother, he called out. His mother was lying on a rock. Still dreaming, Warren approached her. Come here, my dear son, she said. I'm sorry. I can't follow you to the waterfall to catch your carp. No, mother, don't leave me. It's all right, my son. Stop crying. Stop those tears. But then her voice deepened. Weakling. Stop crying. His mother's image morphed into that of the old man who had tried to take over his body. I will take your head as my prize, the man roared, his mouth opening wide as if to devour Warren. Warren woke up with a start. Confused, he looked around. The place felt familiar yet foreign. He quickly realized that he was back in his younger body. So, this wasn't a dream, he whispered. He had truly returned to the past. Back then, he had hated his father and isolated himself from the family. His father was brutally murdered with 4 swords to his back, leading to the collapse of the clan. But now, he thought, I can stop it all from happening. I know what's coming. Red energy suddenly began radiating from his body. Outside his room, 2 maids gossiped. Did you hear? The young master destroyed the statue with a headbutt. Do you think he really did that? It's always been said he's weak and constantly taking medicine. He's never even learned martial arts. I saw it with my own eyes, the maid with orange hair insisted. Maybe he's possessed. Suddenly the door flung open and Warren stood behind them. Young master. We didn't mean to insult you. What's happening with my body? Warren muttered. Something strange is going on. Suddenly his body grew warm and heat surged from his lower dantian. I need a woman. What the hell? He exclaimed, frustrated. His energy was overwhelming, making it difficult for him to move. It felt just like the old man's energy. This young energy, it's too much. I can't think of anything to contain it. I need to act now. Without another thought, Warren began running. Young master, it's cold. Don't run, the maids cried, knowing they would be blamed if anything happened. Warren ran deep into the forest. The energy was threatening to consume him, but then he saw it, the waterfall from his dream. Without hesitation, he leapt into the cascading water. As he submerged, steam rose from the water, and the intense energy dissipated. Son? His father's desperate voice echoed through the forest. What are you doing out here, son? I know you hate me, but don't do something as foolish as this. Are you trying to kill yourself? Warren looked at his father and with tears streaming down his face said, I missed you, father. To avoid suspicion, he thought I should try to rebuild our relationship naturally, step by step. He embraced his father tightly. I'm back now, father, he said, tears in his eyes. The two embraced while everyone around watched in astonishment. If this is a dream, I hope I never wake up. If it's an illusion, I hope I never open my eyes. 3 months later, Warren was fishing with a young boy. Looks like I'm going to win the bet again, Warren teased. Ah, it's like you've been fishing your whole life or something, the boy replied. The boy was revealed to be Yong Kijong, Warren's younger brother. Over the past 3 months, Warren had spent time with every member of his family. In his previous life, he had never spoken to Kijong, who had suffered a chi blockage while learning the clan's secret techniques. This rendered him unable to do anything, which led to the Tianzhong clan losing influence and becoming a branch of the Yuchi clan. At that time, Warren was already married into the Ocean Sky Merchant Union and had only heard about his family's decline. He couldn't do anything to help. By the way, Warren, is it okay for you to stop taking all those medicines you used to? Kijong asked. Oh, those medicines made me fat, Warren joked. You were never fat. Well, maybe I would have been if I kept taking them. Anyway, I like how things are now, Kijong said, smiling. As they joked and fished, Warren thought, I didn't realize before how intelligent Kijong was. Anyway, I like how you've been lately. You've been giving me an allowance using bets as an excuse. I win, right, Warrig? Showing off the fish you caught. Ah, the money, I can't lose this bet. So, you decide to throw all the fish at your brother, shouting, you're cheating, you're cheating? I caught a big fish right here, grabbing his brother in his arms and jumping into the lake. I didn't know before that he was such a smart boy. I placed such a heavy burden on him, sorry. Warren continued to train diligently every day, focusing on his health and martial arts. He wanted to ensure he was strong enough to protect his family and prevent the tragic events of the past from repeating. One morning, while meditating by the waterfall, his younger sister Xiaolin appeared with a towel. You don't need to do this, he said. Hee, but I like doing it since I'm your little sister, she replied. In the past, I never talked to Kijong, but with Xiaolin I spoke a few times. Despite how cool she is, she was always so lively and friendly. She loved attending events like fireworks festivals and often invited Quarren to go with her. However, every time she made an offer. Flashbacks. Brother, would you like to go to the festival I mentioned? Hey, are you kidding me now? Do I look like someone who has time to play with his sister? Don't you dare ask me something like that again. 2 invitations, 2 rejections. That was the last interaction she had with him. At one of those festivals she was killed by someone, and their father personally investigated it. Shortly after he was also murdered. In the past, Xiaolin asked me to go out with her twice. The first time is today during the Moon Festival, and the second is the Yong clan's New Year Festival. Xiaolin will be killed during that festival. Xiaolin, you said today is the Moon Festival, right? I thought you had forgotten, brother. So, are you going with me? Of course. Oh, this ticket. Should we go shopping? Yes, brother, let's go now. This is another chance I've been given, reliving this moment and spending time with my sister. I can't let things happen the same way again. To ensure this doesn't repeat, I need to become the strongest, strong enough to protect my family and the honor of our clan. Sometime later, a group of people is seen training at the Tianzhong estate, and among them is Huron. He reflects on how, in the past, his daily routine consisted solely of drinking medicine in his room and reading books, refusing to step outside. But now, everything has changed. Ironically, it seems that the ominous aura of the old man from before has motivated him to move his body, serving as both a way to test his strength and an outlet for his newfound energy. As he trains, his father, Byong, calls out to him. Huron approaches, and Byong comments on how much his son has changed, becoming emotional as he expresses pride in Huron's growth. Huron, slightly embarrassed, tries to remind him that the other disciples are watching. Byong laughs it off, asking why that should matter, and then proposes that Huron formally learn the family's martial arts instead of merely participating in physical exercise. Huron admits that he has been considering it, which makes Byong overjoyed. Byong promises to arrange for an instructor immediately, but Huron interjects, saying he already has someone in mind. Before Byong can ask who it is, Shounen runs into the scene hugging Huron. Byong jokingly remarks that Shounen only ever seeks out her brother and is ignoring him entirely now. She laughs, explaining that Huron picked out her clothes and she wanted to show them off, asking if they look pretty. Byong sighs, admitting he can't argue with her. Shounen affectionately tells her father that she loves him, but Huron, reflecting inwardly, acknowledges that just because his constitution has improved, it doesn't mean he can protect his family. He resolves to become strong enough to defend both himself and those he cares about. The scene shifts to a woman practicing martial arts in the courtyard. Her movements are graceful yet powerful, resembling a dance as she leaps through the air and lands lightly to finish her routine. Letting out a sharp exhale, she turns to address someone nearby, asking what brings them there. This woman is Mo Bayang, the Dragonflower Sword. The person she's addressing is none other than Huron, who greets her and states that he has a request. Mo Bayang notes that the rumors of Huron's recovery must be true, but she remarks that she has never spoken to him before, considering him a twisted individual. Intrigued, she asks what he wants. Huron immediately bows deeply, requesting to learn her sword skills and to become her disciple. Mo Bayang is visibly surprised and comments that she's heard rumors about his sudden transformation into a different person. While he does seem changed, she doubts that someone could truly alter themselves so drastically in such a short time. She points out that many people live righteous lives despite challenging upbringings, but Huron had spent his years wallowing in hatred and cutting off ties with his family. Turning her back to him, she rejects his request, shattering his expectations. Huron asks why she refuses, and Mo Bayang responds that she's busy investigating why the secret arts of the Tianzhong clan have become stagnant. She walks away, making it clear she doesn't believe in his so-called transformation. Huron, though disappointed, admits to himself that her reaction was as he expected. He recognizes that she still views him as pathetic. Reflecting on her past, he recalls that Mo Bayang rarely interacted with others in the clan, yet her martial prowess far exceeded anyone else's. As she walks away, Mo Bayang hears a sound behind her. Turning, she sees Huron kneeling on the ground. Shocked, she questions how the eldest son of the clan could kneel over something so trivial. Huron vehemently denies that it is trivial. He begins to mumble, and as she wonders what he's about to say, he suddenly yells, declaring that it is not insignificant to him. Huron recounts how Mo Bayang contributed more than anyone in the battle against the Devi sect, earning the title of Dragon Blood Flower, a name she bore with pride despite its unflattering connotations for a woman. Until she had a mysterious death, she gave her life for the clan. Quarren will not let that happen again, not to her, not to the Tianzhong clan. Mo Baiyang, intrigued by his conviction and noticing a change in his demeanor, reconsiders. She agrees to accept him as her disciple but imposes a condition. He must land a single hit on her in a sparring match. If he succeeds, she will teach him. Huron acknowledges the gap between their abilities but accepts her terms. Mo Baiyang clarifies that she will not use her ki or the clan's martial arts, making the match fair in her eyes. As the match begins, Huron puts all his effort into landing a hit, but he is knocked out before he can even touch a strand of her hair. As he regains consciousness, he is stunned by the vast gap in their abilities. Mo Baiyang, assuming the match is over, begins to walk away. However, Huron grits his teeth, refusing to give up. He leaps to his feet and charges at her, shouting that their duel is not over yet. She swiftly disarms Huron, knocking the sword out of his hand before striking him in the face with her scabbard. Despite this, Huron refuses to back down, insisting that their match isn't over. She continues to land blow after blow, relentlessly striking him until he collapses to the ground. Though it appears he has lost consciousness, she notices that he is still clutching his sword tightly. Recognizing his perseverance, she bows and acknowledges his commendable effort. As she begins to walk away, a faint red aura starts to radiate from Huron, gradually darkening. Sensing the ominous energy, she turns back to find Huron standing once more, the swirling red aura surrounding him. Alarmed, she immediately recognizes that this is not a martial art of the Tianzhong clan. Instinctively gripping her blade, she urges Huron to regain his senses, but before she can finish, he closes the distance between them in an instant. Although she manages to deflect his sword with a swing, she nervously notes his incredible speed. Huron follows up with a leaping overhead strike, and this time he actually lands a hit, sending her crashing into the wall. Cornered and assessing the danger, she reluctantly unsheathes her blade to counter his next attack, using the Soaring Dragon Emperor sword's first form. To her shock, Huron halts his strike just before it makes contact with her face. Confused, she watches as he starts laughing, reminding her that their agreement was for him to touch her. With that, he calls her mastered before collapsing unconscious to the ground. Stunned, she turns to examine the wall, realizing that his strike had carved out an entire section of it. She's left wondering what she just witnessed. Sometime later, the two are seen training in the courtyard. Huron moves through the sword forms with precision, his movements now fluid and confident. He mimics the techniques she first demonstrated, soaring gracefully through the air before landing with perfect poise. Watching him, she wonders if he's always had such natural talent. In just a few days, he has mastered the forms of both the Soaring Dragon Emperor sword and the Azure Bamboo sword. Despite being impressed, she notes that he shows signs of exhaustion. When he asks for feedback, she acknowledges his progress, saying that while he hasn't yet unlocked the secrets of the arts, his execution is impressive for the short amount of time he's trained. Huron chuckles, brushing off the praise as excessive, though she remains skeptical. Her mind lingers on the ominous red aura she witnessed during their match. She comments on the extraordinary speed of his improvement, noting how incredible it is that he was bedridden not long ago. Picking up on her hesitation, Huron sighs and jokes about the many blows she dealt him, claiming he doesn't even remember what happened. He points to a knot on his head, adding that only she would treat the clan's eldest son that way. Deciding to drop the subject, she assures him that she won't ask about it anymore. However, as a member of the Tianzhong clan, she feels responsible for observing him closely. Huron finds this a bit unsettling, joking that her watchfulness feels more like surveillance. Later that night, Huron sits in his room reflecting on his training. He notes how incomplete the Tianzhong martial arts feel. This, he reasons, is because the clan's techniques originated from the demonic sect. He recalls the history of the Tianzhong clan's progenitor, a wandering martial artist from Hunan. This ancestor had learned two demonic arts from the hidden saint cult, a sect that was neither wholly orthodox nor demonic. Over time, the progenitor modified these arts to align with his path of justice, transforming them into the sword forms practiced today. While their power was reduced significantly, they were still formidable enough to produce the greatest swordsmen in Hunan. However, the combination of demonic techniques with orthodox cultivation left the martial arts incomplete, preventing the progenitor from reaching the supreme peak. Keeping this origin a secret, the progenitor laid the foundation of the clan. Eventually, the truth resurfaced, leading to the clan's downfall. Clenching his fists, Huron resolves to change this fate. Unlike his ancestor, he has knowledge of the future and a way to complete the martial arts. His clenched fists, however, betray not anger but excitement. The following day Huron meets with his father, Byung, and his stepmother. He informs them of his intention to visit the Yeagle clan. When Byung inquires about the reason, Huron explains that since he has regained his health through martial arts, he believes it is time to fulfill the arranged marriage between their families. Byung reflects on how time has flown, recalling that the marriage was arranged before Huron was even born. He starts to say the name of the Yeagle daughter, but Huron cuts him off, confidently stating her name, Yeagle Changyang. Byung smiles into his cup, affirming this and reminiscing about his great friendship with her father, Yujol. He mentions hearing that Changyang is extraordinarily beautiful and asks when Huron plans to leave. Huron's stepmother expresses concern, suggesting that he should take more time to recover fully before embarking on such a journey. Byung, however, insists that traveling and making connections are important experiences for someone of Huron's age, sharing that he met Yujol when he was around the same age. Reluctantly, the stepmother agrees but emphasizes the need for Huron to prioritize his health and safety during the long journey, which will take over a month. She insists that he bring a reliable bodyguard. At this, Byung's mood shifts dramatically, and he appears visibly annoyed. Huron is glad to see her but immediately asks about the two men standing behind her, who slowly step forward. Without hesitation they start grabbing at Huron, inspecting his physique. Confused, he wonders aloud what on earth is happening. The two men grin, commenting that he's in great shape and has clearly been training his body. They note he's significantly different from before. Huron realizes who they are, identifying them as the Rising Ghost Blades. He greets them politely, and they explain they've been sent to protect him. One of them adds that Huron has the potential to bulk up and build significant muscle mass. The two brothers, introduced as Young-wook and Nam-wook, are described as muscle-headed but immensely skilled swordsmen, enough to earn the title of Ghost Blades. Huron acknowledges that his father must have put great care into selecting his guards. Taking charge, Huron informs them that he will determine the route for their journey and asks them to follow his lead without question. Young-wook, after a moment of consideration, agrees with a smile. With that settled, Huron declares they should leave immediately. Before their departure, Huron bids farewell to his family. Shounen, emotional, wipes her tears and asks if he really has to go. Huron apologizes and promises to take her wherever she wants during the central festival. Shounen brightens, asking if he's serious, and he reassures her with a smile. His stepmother and younger brother watch him fondly. Huron turns to Ki-young, entrusting him with the care of their family while he is away. Ki-young, noticing how tall and confident Huron seems, vows to protect their family with his life, saluting him. As Huron takes a few steps back to leave, his father, visibly teary-eyed, watches him with pride. Huron pays his respects to the family one last time before setting out with his group. Just as they are about to leave, a familiar voice calls out, urging him to wait. He turns to see Yango running toward him. Instantly, a memory flashes in his mind. He recalls the clan's downfall and riding away in a carriage while Yango chased after him, begging to go with him. The scene unfolding now feels eerily similar. Young-wook suggests Huron refuse her request, reasoning that it's far too dangerous for a servant girl to join them. Huron dismounts his horse, asking the group to wait as he approaches Yango. She closes her eyes, expecting a scolding or even a slap, but to her surprise, Huron hugs her. Caught off guard, her eyes fill with tears, and the others watch in astonishment. Huron gently tells her that he is deeply grateful for her loyalty and presence, but the journey ahead is treacherous and he cannot protect her. He asks her to stay behind, promising that she is part of his beloved family. Blushing, Yango agrees, though she can't hold back her tears. As Huron rides away, Yango reflects on his words, determined to support him from afar. Huron meanwhile reveals his true plan. The visit to the Yeagle clan is merely a cover. Their destination is not Yeagle but Wudong Mountain, where the secret to perfecting the clan's martial arts lies. As they approach the mountain range, the narrative shifts. Suddenly, Huron finds himself in an expansive, endless body of water. He wanders, confused by the vastness, until he notices something in the water, a signboard. Picking it up, he recognizes it as the Tianshang clan's board. When he looks up, the water around him transforms into an ocean of flames, and the Tianshang clan house appears, engulfed in fire. Shocked, he runs toward it, shouting in disbelief, only to be confronted by a figure, the demonic master. The old man mocks Huron, calling him a fool and chastising him for wasting an extraordinary opportunity. Huron demands to know how the master is there, but the old man sneers, peering into his soul, and commands Huron to surrender his body. Before Huron can respond, the vision is shattered by a sword slicing through the apparition. Snapping back to reality, Hiran finds himself facing Byung, who questions why he seems so distracted. Before Hiran can explain, he's thrust into a sparring match. His opponent disarms him, pressing a blade to his neck. She comments on his lack of focus and asks if he's feeling unwell. He admits that he hasn't been sleeping well for days. Young-wook overhears and suggests a different kind of training to help Hiran regain his strength. He leads Hiran to their makeshift gym, where the brothers enthusiastically demonstrate squats and bench presses. They insist that these exercises are the best way to increase strength and build muscle, assuring Hiran that he'll be able to wield his sword with much greater efficiency. Hiran nervously wipes his brow and excuses himself, saying, "Maybe next time." Shifting focus, he gathers everyone's attention to announce an update about their journey. As they get back on the road, Hiran shares his plan. Before heading to the Yeagle clan, he wants to make a stop at Mount Seven Sages. Young-wook asks why, and Hiran explains that he read in a book by a renowned herbalist that the mountain is known for its abundance of 100-year-old ginseng and rare monkey wine, a delicacy found nowhere else. Hearing this, the brothers start drooling, their imaginations consumed by the idea of the wine. Hiran teasingly mentions that their love for liquor has earned them the nickname, the two rising drunken ghosts. They enthusiastically support his idea, but Byung interrupts, pointing out that the mountain is near territories controlled by demonic sects, which could lead to trouble for their orthodox sect. Hiran brushes off her concern, suggesting they could simply disguise their affiliation by claiming they belong to another clan if confronted. Byung scolds him, calling it disrespectful and a betrayal of the clan's pride. Hiran counters, arguing that survival is more important than honor. Young-wook agrees with Hiran and downplays the fear of demonic sects, but Byung accuses the brothers of just wanting the wine. Hiran, trying to justify the detour, says he wants to gather ginseng to bring back to his parents as an apology for all the trouble he's caused. Byung, touched by his sentiment, reluctantly agrees to the plan, even though Hiran is internally smiling. There is no ginseng or monkey wine at Mount Seven Sages. Instead, his real goal is something far more valuable, the demonic poison stone flower. Hiran explains to himself that the demonic poison stone flower forms in a tomb where poisonous insects gather to die. Over centuries, their poison pools and crystallizes into a stone. Occasionally, a seed lands on the crystal, absorbing its toxic and demonic energy as it blooms into the rare flower. He believes the flower is hidden somewhere on Mount Seven Sages and could be a crucial ingredient for advancing his martial arts, which already have demonic roots. However, upon arriving at an inn near the mountain, he overhears other travelers discussing the flower, saying that many demonic sects are gathering there to fight over it. Frustrated, Hiran wonders how news of the flower has spread so widely. Byung, overhearing the conversation, warns Hiran that the mountain will be crawling with demonic masters and suggests it might be too dangerous to proceed. Hiran acknowledges her concerns but insists they won't need to fight anyone directly. His real target is Gaekyeok, the heir to the Hubei Serpent Dragon sect, who he believes will claim the flower last. Gaekyeok is a formidable opponent, having risen to peak level strength in just 6 months, but Hiran is determined. The flower will be a game changer for his martial arts progression. He confidently slams his drink down on the table, declaring they'll still go to Mount Seven Sages. Byung, exasperated, stands up and reminds Hiran of the risks. He explains that the mountain is on the way to the Yeagle clan, so there's a chance they might encounter them as well, making the detour worthwhile. Sighing, Byung agrees on the condition that they flee if they encounter martial artists they cannot handle. Hiran nods, then looks over at Young-wook and Nam-wook, only to find them passed out drunk on the floor. Shaking his head, he assures Byung he'll avoid unnecessary danger, though she remains suspicious. As they prepare for their stay at the inn, Hiran reflects on the chaos surrounding Mount Seven Sages, describing it as a gallery of pandemonium. He knows he's not yet strong enough to face such dangers head-on, so he devises a strategy. He tells the group to investigate inns and stables operated by the Serpent Dragon sect, looking for locations with few customers but plenty of horses. Gaekyeok, as the young sect leader, will likely stop at such a place to rest before transporting the flower. By staying at the right inn, they can intercept him and the flower without venturing deep into the mountain. Later, as expected, a group from the Serpent Dragon sect arrives at the inn. From a hidden vantage point, Hiran and Jong-wook observe them. Nam-wook joins them, and Jong-wook points out Gaekyeok among the group, identifying him as the young master of the sect. Hiran is surprised to see him there instead of at Mount Seven Sages, wondering why he isn't fighting for the flower. Suddenly, one of Gekiok's men runs up to whisper something in his ear. Gekiok's expression quickly shifts to shock and anger as he starts shouting orders, demanding that all the swordsmen from their clan gather. They're going to give chase. Jeongwook comments that if Gekiok is bringing out the 8 swords and the 8 slashers of the Serpent Dragon sect, then this situation must be serious. Hirin, however, sees an opportunity, noting that if something urgent has come up, Gekiok might be distracted, increasing Hirin's chances of securing the flower for himself. He instructs Jeongwook to get ready, they're going to follow the Serpent Dragon sect. Byong panics, yelling at Hirin for chasing after a demonic sect and questioning why he keeps dragging them into dangerous situations. Hirin explains that Jongwoo is on the verge of a major upheaval, and for them to survive the chaos they must grow stronger. The flower is merely a tool to achieve that strength. Byong retorts that they're not so weak that they need a mere herb to advance. But Hirin firmly disagrees, stating that they are weak and cannot afford to sit idly while others seize power. With a determined tone, he declares that his dream is to obtain the flower and protect his family from external threats. He demands Byong's trust and obedience as the heir to the clan. Stunned by his sudden display of authority, Byong begins to see Hirin as an adult for the first time. Jeongwook, amused, remarks that he never knew Hirin had such nerve. Both he and Namwook pledge their support, bowing respectfully. Byong reluctantly agrees as well but warns Hirin not to underestimate Jongwoo's dangers. Hirin assures her that he knows better than anyone, having experienced those dangers firsthand. With that, the group sets out, trailing the Serpent Dragon sect. As they follow stealthily, Hirin is surprised by the sheer number of sect members. The group starts arranging themselves in a tight formation, which Byong identifies as the inescapable net. Jeongwook, worried, suggests they move before getting caught, but Hirin observes that the sect's main squad hasn't acted yet. He theorizes they're waiting to strike when someone suspicious, or the person with the miracle medicine, appears. He advises patience as timing will be critical. In the distance, shouting erupts as the sect members claim to have found the person carrying the medicine. Using the commotion as cover, Hirin leads his group away, positioning them near a river. When Namwook asks why, Hirin explains that a person on the run would likely head for water instead of the forest. As they wait, the eerie silence of the river settles in, making everyone uneasy. Byong gulps nervously. Suddenly, a bloodied man stumbles through the river, screaming for help. Before he can get close, a massive purple hand materializes from nowhere, crushing the man like an insect. A burst of ominous purple aura fills the air. An old man emerges from the shadows, holding the flower they've been searching for. Byong recognizes him and whispers, horrified, that it's the flying demonic blood lion. Hirin, unsettled by the man's aura, asks if she knows who he is. Jeongwook is shocked that Hirin doesn't recognize him, explaining that among 100 experts in the demonic martial world, the blood lion would undoubtedly rank as one of the most fearsome. Hirin notes that the old man looks angry and realizes he's holding the flower they need. But before Hirin can act, the Serpent Dragon sect members arrive, surrounding the blood lion. Gekiok confronts the blood lion, praising his strength for defeating the Serpent Dragon sect's elite forces. The blood lion laughs, mocking them as weaklings. He adds that if it weren't for the Tang clan's interference, he'd have already killed them all. Gekiok smirks and pulls a strange box from his robe, asking if the blood lion recognizes it. The blood lion's expression changes as he identifies the weapon, the 1,000-needle downpour. Gekiok reveals that he spent a fortune acquiring it and that every sect member surrounding the blood lion is armed with one. As the sect members aim their weapons, the blood lion scoffs at their arrogance. They fire, unleashing a dazzling barrage of needles resembling fireworks. In response, the blood lion claps his hands, summoning 2 massive purple hands that deflect most of the attack with a shockwave. Hirin watches in awe, suspecting the blood lion's power is beyond what they expected. The blood lion ascends into the air, radiating even more aura. Gekiok orders the second squad to fire another volley. This time, the blood lion is caught in the explosion and falls back into the river. Gekiok seizes the opportunity, commanding the 8 swords to retrieve the flower. They leap into action, attacking the blood lion from all sides. Despite being wounded, the blood lion fights ferociously, defeating many attackers with brutal efficiency. Byong, horrified by the bloodshed, asks how Hirin can remain so calm amidst the carnage. The battle reaches its climax as the blood lion, riddled with arrows and blades, collapses into the river, taking his final breath. Gekiok's men search the body for the flower but find nothing. Panic sets in as Gekiok shouts orders to search again, insisting the flower must be nearby. It couldn't have disappeared. As panic sets in, Hirin urges the group to follow him through the trees, explaining that the miracle medicine isn't on the blood lion's body but that he has an idea where it might be. Byung doubts him, pointing out that they saw the blood lion holding the flower, but Hirin counters, saying the old man likely sent it downstream. He reminds them of the water barrier the blood lion created earlier, not just for defense but to obscure their vision. Instead of dodging the attacks outright, the blood lion probably used his martial arts to push the flower into the river, intending to retrieve it later by following the water's path. Shouts echo behind them, and Hirin warns they need to move quickly before others figure out the same. Spotting a faint purple aura glowing in the river, Hirin races ahead and grabs the flower from the water. He tells the group to wait, pulls out a vial, and applies a substance to a different flower, handing the original box to Jeongwook. The group questions him, asking if he's using poison, and Hirin confirms it, defending the tactic as practical. The poison flower is a decoy, it'll fool their pursuers just long enough for them to escape. Jeongwook laughs, marveling at how easy their plan seems. While everyone else was fighting to the death, they managed to sneak around and secure the prize. Hirin, however, attributes it to luck. Suddenly, the box is snatched from Jeongwook's hands as a man descends beside them, his presence so overwhelming that no one even sensed him approaching. The group freezes in fear as Hirin turns, only to see the blood lion grinning at them. Shocked, Hirin wonders how the blood lion is still alive, having assumed he was dead. Without warning, the blood lion charges up his fist and strikes Hirin in the stomach, sending him flying as blood sprays from his mouth. The others immediately draw their weapons, ready to defend their fallen leader. The blood lion sneers, calling them greedy rats who don't know their place. He reveals that he intended to absorb the flower's power fully but has been forced to act sooner. Consuming the flower on the spot, he declares that he'll tear them apart and use their blood to replenish his energy. As his aura swells, a violent purple storm whirls around him, pulling at everything nearby. Byung, trembling with fear, admits this is the first time she's faced someone so powerful. She recalls the blood lion's earlier brutality, and dread overwhelms her as she realizes she might die here. Namwook steps forward, determined, and says he's always acted without hesitation. Byung watches in disbelief as Namwook and Jeongwook confidently move to confront the blood lion. They proclaim their loyalty as warriors of the Tiansong clan, vowing to protect Hirin, their young leader, and defeat the blood lion. Byung protests, insisting the blood lion is too strong and that they'll be killed. Namwook, however, points out that the flower was poisoned. Byung's shock turns to realization. The blood lion is not only severely wounded but has also poisoned himself by consuming the tainted flower. If they can stall him, they might have a chance. Namwook and Jeongwook charge, attacking with precision and speed. The blood lion, impressed by their bravery, applauds them for not running, but he remains confident. He shatters Namwook's blade with his bare hand and stretches his aura like tendrils to strike back. Just as the blood lion's attacks close in, Byung steps forward, wielding the Emperor's sword. A golden light emanates as she uses the Heavenly Lightning Ascension technique, slashing the blood lion's arm. Though hesitant at first, Byung's fear vanishes as she delivers the strike. The blood lion roars in pain, calling her a brat, but his expression changes as a sharp pain pierces his chest. He stumbles backward, landing in the river and coughing up blood. Looking down, he realizes he's been poisoned. At first, he assumes it's the work of someone from the Tang clan, but he dismisses the idea, knowing their poison would have a different effect. Turning his gaze to the group, he mutters in disbelief, realizing it was them who managed to outmaneuver him. The group brings the blood lion across the river, weapons raised as he grits his teeth and snarls, accusing them of daring to trick him. Coughing heavily, he somehow ends up back on the riverbank, his defiant laughter unsettling Byung. She notes, as the brothers predicted, that he's nearing his limit. If they hold out a bit longer, they might succeed. But her confidence wavers when his laughter grows manic, and he growls, furious at the idea that his end could come at the hands of nameless nobodies rather than the Tang clan or Serpent Dragon sect. His anger flares as he speculates that the one he flung earlier, Hirin, must have the demonic stone flower. Whether Hirin consumed it or not, the blood lion vows to take it, even if it means tearing open his stomach. Suddenly, the blood lion lunges forward with staggering speed, punching Namwook in the gut and sending him flying. Byung reacts, swinging her blade toward him, but the blood lion uses his shifting step ability to evade. He immediately targets Jeongwook next, landing a devastating punch to his face that sends him sprawling. As the blood lion extends his hand toward Bai Yang, she realizes there's no way to dodge in time. Out of nowhere, a red aura erupts and Hirin charges in, his blade slicing clean through the blood lion's arm. The severed limb soars into the air as the blood lion stumbles back, screaming in shock and agony. Hirin's eyes are void of consciousness, and a flashback reveals his earlier state, battered, bloody, and barely alive. After being slammed into a tree by the blood lion, his body was broken, his leg twisted unnaturally. Struggling to move, Hirin recalls the blood lion burning his life essence to chase him. Defeated and bitter, he laments how overconfident he had been, berating himself as blood drips down his face. Suddenly, a strange energy surges from within Hirin's body. The red aura from his core intensifies as ghostly hands materialize, urging him to relinquish control of his body. He realizes this energy belonged to the demonic master, the same power he had used in a previous battle. While tempted to surrender to the energy's overwhelming strength, Hirin ultimately resists, declaring that this is his body and he will protect those he cares about on his own. Rising against all odds with his leg mangled, he pushes forward, fueled by sheer willpower. As he breathes in and out, he gains impressive speed and is able to reach the battlefield in an instant, cutting off his enemy's arm with a clean, precise blow. Back in the present, the blood lion reels from the loss of his arm, his anger replaced by disbelief as he recognizes the demonic aura surrounding Hirin. Gritting his teeth, he questions how Hirin could possess such power but is interrupted by another fit of coughing as the poison wreaks havoc on his body. Bai Yang is relieved to know that the young master is still alive and has saved her, but realizes that the red aura is in his body. The brothers say that he arrived just in time and that the old man is very strong. The group finally gets together. Bai Yang, Namwook and Jiangwook regroup, noting that the blood lion's strength is rapidly deteriorating. Between the poison and the toll of burning his life essence, it's only a matter of time before he collapses. Hirin, pointing his blade at the blood lion, orders his allies to survive, taking charge as the heir of their clan. I have encountered countless mysteries on these lands. Yes, this situation is one I am still unable to comprehend. From here on out, I will forfeit my survival. I don't know how you received his power, but squirm as hard as you can, boy. Both sides charge at each other in a final clash, the tension rising as the battle escalates. Elsewhere, Gekiak, another combatant, arrives at the dried-up section of the river. The devastation caused by the blood lion's arts is evident. Scorched earth and shattered ground surround them. He spots the blood lion's lifeless body, finally succumbing to his injuries and the poison. Furious, Gekiak demands to know what happened to the demonic stone flower. His subordinates, visibly nervous, hesitate to respond. When one finally explains that the flower is missing, Gekiak raises his sword in a rage, threatening to execute him on the spot. After a tense moment, Gekiak sheathes his blade, frustrated and seething. He demands to know who dared to fight the blood lion and steal the flower, vowing vengeance on whoever it was. In the next scene, the focus shifts to a dense forest, where we see the group riding on horseback. The brothers share one horse, while Byung and Hirin ride together on another. Youngwook laughs, saying he still can't believe they actually defeated the blood lion. Byung, less amused, retorts, asking what he means by that, pointing out that if the blood lion hadn't fallen when it did, they would all have died right then and there. Youngwook chuckles, admitting it was indeed a close call, but adds with confidence that it said the strong are those who survive. He remarks that the blood lion was merely a martial artist from Django, and knowing that, he pushed himself to his very limits during the fight. Suddenly, Hirin begins to cough up blood, alarming Byung, who quickly asks if she's okay. Hirin laughs weakly, agreeing with her that it wasn't as easy as it seemed. She admits she still can't believe they managed to face off against the blood lion, and reflects on how any of them could have died, but somehow none of them did. At that moment, Youngwook pulls something out from inside his tunic. Holding it up, they see the demonic flower in his hands, glowing faintly as it radiates a sinister aura. He looks at it solemnly and says that his vow to protect his family and his clan from any harm wasn't just empty words. He acknowledges that the road ahead won't be easy and that there will likely be more days like today, where they risk their lives. That's why he says he needs Byung and the two phantom blades to grow even stronger. Meanwhile, Namwook is completely unconscious, drooling as he mumbles in his sleep. Byung glances at him, clearly unimpressed, before turning back to Youngwook, saying there's something else he needs to explain to them. Youngwook hesitates, asking what she's talking about. Byung doesn't hold back, pressing him about the ominous energy they felt earlier. She asks directly what the meaning of that threatening aura was. pointing out that the chi they sensed wasn't ordinary. Young-wook pauses for a moment, then admits that the crimson aura they saw earlier didn't seem like it belonged to the Tianzhong family. It was something darker, something far closer to the energy of the bloodlines. Byung narrows her eyes and asks bluntly if he's been practicing demonic arts. For a moment, Young-wook considers telling the truth, revealing that he's a regressor who has gone back in time. But he quickly realizes that sharing such a secret could risk altering the future entirely. Deciding it's too dangerous to reveal everything, he replies vaguely, promising that he'll explain it all later. Byung responds, exasperated, that they've just risked their lives, and she demands to know what else he's hiding. Young-wook begins coughing up even more blood, staining her shoulder in the process. She's startled, finally realizing just how damaged he is internally. He looks at her and admits that yes, they did risk their lives, and because of that, when the time is right, they'll be the first to know everything. He wipes the blood from his mouth, but Byung doesn't look convinced. Frustrated, she raises her hands, telling him they need to stop. She points out that he's clearly not okay and asks why they can't just go to the Yagul clan to find a doctor. Young-wook shakes his head and explains that Gaekyeok and the rest of the Serpent Dragon sect are surely hunting them down. If they go to the Yagul clan while being pursued, it will only cause trouble for the clan. Instead, he suggests heading to Mount Wudong, where he's heard of a skilled doctor. Byung narrows her eyes and asks if he's absolutely sure about this. Hiren, stepping in, nods confidently and says yes. She explains that the doctor in question has the surname He and is known for their remarkable abilities. The scene shifts to Mount Wudong. Something is darting through the dense forest at incredible speed. It's none other than a small, mischievous cat. A young boy chases after it, calling out affectionately to the cat, using the nickname Bakeseal. He pleads for the cat to wait, shouting that the mountain is dangerous. Unbothered, the cat seems to think they're playing a game and continues sprinting ahead. Meanwhile, the boy pauses momentarily to collect some herbs growing nearby, glancing around anxiously. The cat, oblivious to the boy, slips into a patch of thick bushes. As it ventures further, it suddenly looks up and freezes in fear, paralyzed by something it sees ahead. Taking advantage of the moment, the boy rushes forward and grabs the terrified cat, holding it tightly in his arms. The boy suddenly hears faint groans coming from the bushes, his curiosity piqued as he wonders what could be making such a sound. Before he can react, a looming shadow falls over him. His eyes widen in shock as a group of desperate, battle-worn people stumble out from the foliage, Byung and the others. For the first time in what feels like forever, they've finally found another person on this cursed mountain. Both the boy and the cat freeze in terror. And then, at the exact same time, they both let out high-pitched screams of pure fear. The scene cuts to Hiren, now lying on a bed. His body jolts awake as he lets out a startled cry, his mind still gripped by the nightmare of the blood lion. His chest heaves as he frantically looks down at himself. He's alive. His wounds have been treated. That means they must have found a doctor. Before he can process everything, the door creaks open, and the boy from earlier steps inside. He looks surprised to see Hiren awake and quickly tells him that he was in critical condition, so he brought him here first. He explains that this is a small clinic run by him and his grandfather, and that he was just about to prepare some medicine for Hiren. Hiren narrows his eyes at the boy, his voice steady but filled with meaning as he asks, "Your grandfather? Is his name He Dukgong?" The boy blinks in surprise before nodding. Hiren then presses further, his expression intense. "And your name? It's He Kielryung, isn't it?" The boy stares at him, utterly shocked. "How do you know my name?" A slow, knowing smile spreads across Hiren's face. Finally, he murmurs. This was the reason he had to come to Wudong. The reason he had even used the Yagul clan as an excuse. Everything had led him to this boy. He is the key to completing the unstable martial arts of the Tianzhong clan. He is also the only one who knows the name Eren. Hiren exhales, his eyes gleaming with realization. He's finally found him, the one who will allow him to perfect the Tianzhong clan's martial arts. But more than that, this boy is destined to become the strongest man under the heavens. No, not just under the heavens, of the entire world. He is the supreme He Kielryung. In the past, back when the protagonist was still the fat merchant, there was a battle over a martial arts tome. A battle so legendary that it was spoken of for years before his regression. It wasn't just the orthodox sects that took part. Even the unorthodox and demonic clans, along with the 5 great clans, had all fought for it. A battle of unprecedented scale. And the reason why every martial artist was willing to fight for it? Because the tome introduced an entirely new rule to martial arts. Within every human being, both good and evil coexist. And when good and evil merge into one, it becomes possible to wield a power that transcends that of ordinary mortals. This was the legacy left behind by the progenitor of the Wudong sect, the one who ascended to the heavens, Zheng Sanfeng. The celestial tome of yin-yang depths. In his past life, this child had obtained the tome. His family had stumbled upon it purely by chance while gathering medicinal herbs. And with it, the supreme He Kyil had risen to become the strongest man under the heavens. Hiren's mind races. If he can get his hands on the celestial tome of yin-yang depths, then he will finally be able to fulfill his family's dream, to perfect their martial arts once and for all. Meanwhile, He Kyil continues grinding medicine, completely unaware of Hiren's thoughts. Hiren watches him closely, shaking his head in amusement. It's almost ridiculous to think that this child, this small, unassuming boy, will one day stand at the peak of the martial world. He had expected a far more dramatic meeting. At that moment, a tiny insect, a mere fly, lands on the boy's face. Without hesitation, in one smooth and effortless motion, He Kyil hand snaps up, capturing the fly between his fingers. Hiren blinks. That movement, that level of precision. This kid has already learned martial arts. He Kyil glances at him and casually remarks, "My grandfather taught me." Hiren remains silent for a moment, still digesting what he just witnessed. Fast. Far too fast. Even for a child, his speed is something extraordinary. An older man appears, asking if Hiren has finally woken up. It's none other than Duke Gong, He Kyil grandfather. Shortly after, they step outside and see Baiyang and the rest of the group waving at them, all of them bandaged up. Hiren and the others immediately greet Duke Gong with respect, with Hiren introducing himself as the heir of the Tianzhong clan and thanking him for treating his injuries. Duke Gong laughs, saying there's no need to thank him for something that is part of his job. He then asks what has brought them so far. Everyone looks at Hiren, waiting to see what he'll say. Hiren quickly comes up with an excuse, saying that he came to look for ginseng. Duke Gong replies that he has medicinal herbs, but ginseng is rare. He asks what exactly he needs it for. Hiren seizes the opportunity, smiling and responding that his mother is ill. He spins a heartwarming tale about how his parents always cared for him when he was young, despite his fragile health, and how, thanks to their care, he was able to leave the clan and explore the world. He then starts to shed fake tears, saying that he received word that his mother has contracted a serious illness and heard that ginseng could cure it. Duke Gong, visibly moved, says that a true son is hard to find and is touched by Hiren's care for his parents. He promises to help him find the ginseng. Of course, Hiren is only pretending, smiling inwardly, while the rest of the group is stunned by his performance. How could the future leader of their clan act in such a manner? They continue their trek up the mountain to search for ginseng. Along the way, Baiyang comments that she thought Hiren had been lying about the ginseng, but seeing him search so intensely, she starts to believe that he might actually be serious. Hiren quickly corrects her impression, saying that they must continue searching, and shoots her a stern look. The day comes to an end and Duke Gong, exhausted, suggests that they should head back for today. Everyone returns to the house, covered in leaves and worn out. Duke Gong promises to send the ginseng to wherever Hiren is staying once he finds it. Hiren respectfully thanks him and asks to stay for a few more days to continue searching. The next day, Hiren is meditating in his room, trying to control his aura. He thinks about the places Duke Gong usually visits and believes that if he searches there, he might find clues about the tome. After finishing his meditation, he goes outside and finds Duke Gong tending to the garden. They have a conversation and Duke Gong asks if Hiren would like to take a walk with him. Hiren says that he prefers to search alone, and Duke Gong encourages him. While observing the forest, Hiren asks where Kyil is. At that very moment, Kyil appears looking horrified. He explains that he had been hunting with Bakeseal in the morning, but some people tried to capture him and he had to escape. Duke Gong says that, if that's the case, they must have realized that Kyil is a mystical beast. Just then an entire group arrives saying, "There he is." We hear a woman's voice saying that he is really fast for a kid, asking if he's the owner of the cat and offering to buy it from him, while holding a fan up to her face. Kyil yells, saying that Bakeseal is not for sale. The woman becomes irritated, asking why not, and insisting that she'll pay a lot for it. Of course, Kyil refuses to sell because Bakeseal is his friend, and he shouts, "No." The atmosphere becomes tense. The protagonist group, noticing the shouting, comes out of the house to check what's going on, with Hiren and his team on the verge of a confrontation. Duke Gong intervenes, apologizing and explaining that Bakeseal is like family to them and that they have no intention of selling him. The woman laughs, saying that if it were anyone else she would have just taken the cat by force, and that Hirin should realize how lucky he is that it's her asking, and that he should just hand over the cat. Hirin comments that she is very arrogant, but also quite similar to his former self when he was a merchant. He steps forward, stating that it's wrong to demand that someone sell something they've already said is not for sale. One of her guards steps forward, telling him to back off and asking if he knows who she is. He points his blade at Hirin and asks who he thinks he is to make such threats. The guard says they are from the Yagal clan, and that this young lady is the youngest daughter of the Yagal clan. Hirin is taken aback, realizing what this means. She is none other than Yagal Yohi, the younger sister of his former fiancée Chang Young. He acknowledges that this explains why a mere guard is acting so boldly. He then says it's an honor to meet a lady of the Yagal clan, and the guard starts taunting him, asking where he's from. At that moment Youngwook arrives running, stating that he won't tolerate this any longer. He says the guard is being too bold for someone of his rank and mentions that they're from Henan. Hirin tells him to stop as they are just visitors from Mount Wudong. He positions himself in front of Yohi, and she responds that she has no interest in speaking with someone who won't even reveal his affiliation. She then gives Kil Ryung two options: either accept the money and hand over the cat, or she will take it by force. Kil Ryung clutches Baekseal tightly, terrified. He then notices something to his left, and when he looks he sees Hirin signaling to him. Hirin points to himself, saying that he will distract them, and winks at him. Of course, this could be a misunderstanding on Kil Ryung's part. Kil Ryung looks frightened. Hirin clears his throat, telling Yohi that there's a third option. She looks irritated, asking what he means, and Kil Ryung throws Baekseal into the air, shouting for him to run. Yohi is taken aback. Baekseal floats in the air, confused, but decides to escape and begins leaping away. Yohi shouts, "No," and demands to know who Hirin thinks he is to interfere with her. He responds that if the cat has escaped, all they need to do is catch it, and the boy won't be able to complain if they do. She seems irritated but realizes he's right, telling her men to go after it, and they all start running. Hirin and Kil Ryung exchange a silent thumbs up. After a while the guards return, their hair disheveled, saying they lost the cat. She asks how many warriors it takes to catch a single cat. They explain that the cat is definitely not ordinary, it's a mystical creature. She declares that she will go to the Wudong sect, and they must capture the cat and bring it back. Bayoung then comments to Hirin that if she is the youngest of the Yagal clan, then she must be Yohi, whose behavior has earned her the nickname Witch of Yagal. However, at the same time, she is someone who has surpassed other geniuses in her clan to become the vice leader of the division. Hirin agrees, stating that it would definitely be better to keep their identities hidden for now, as they don't know how she will react, and there is still something they need to find on Mount Wudong. Hirin looks at Kil Ryung, who seems deeply concerned. He asks if he's worried about Baekseal, and Kil Ryung confirms that he is. He pats him on the head, telling him not to worry as they will never catch Baekseal, and he knows how fast the cat is. Bayoung watches this from afar and smiles, commenting that he really has changed. That evening we see 2 large mugs of beer, with Duke Gong thanking the 2 brothers and saying he personally prepared them using medicinal herbs. They tell him it wasn't necessary, and before he can finish his sentence, they grab the mugs from his hands and quickly drink them down. Bayoung watches from a distance, spying from behind a corner, and steps away as the 2 brothers beg the old man for more drinks. As she walks around the house, she hears something and looks to the side, spotting Hirin and Kil Ryung practicing together. She notes that, judging by Kil Ryung's stance, he has definitely learned martial arts. As she gets closer, she sees Kil Ryung leap off the ground and charge toward Hirin. Hirin slowly raises his staff, dodging the attack and knocking the wooden sword out of Kil Ryung's hands. Bayoung is surprised, asking what just happened. She observes that Hirin had to use the technique of the blue bamboo sword, even though he was armed with only a staff for defense. While it's said that geniuses grow at unimaginable speeds, she concludes that this boy is truly extraordinary. At that moment she begins reflecting on something, but what exactly she's pondering remains unclear for now. The next day we see Hirin stretching when he is caught off guard by something, none other than Yohei, approaching him. He calls out to her as she nears and notices that she is empty-handed. He begins to smile and greets her with a good morning. She responds, "Not even close," asserting that she will make sure to capture the cat with her own hands. He asks why she doesn't continue searching for it. Yohei explains that she has duties to attend to but will definitely return in the future to catch the cat. He nods and tells her to take care. She then says that she thinks she didn't hear him properly and asks which sect he belongs to. He answers that they are from a small sect in Hunan, one she probably doesn't know. Annoyed, she walks away and he realizes how frustrated she is. He hopes not to run into her again when visiting the Yagal clan. We see Yohei absolutely furious, muttering to herself that he is lying through his teeth. She believes it's impossible for him to belong to a small sect with that much ki, and with such formidable companions. She can sense the red, threatening aura around him and realizes how strong Young-wook is. Determined, she orders her men to investigate Hirin and his companions, to uncover where they come from and their backgrounds. She needs to know everything about them so she can defeat him properly in the future. The next day at dawn, with the sky shrouded in mist, Quarren is walking through the forest, searching for his objective, among the plants by the lake, across the vast wilderness. He's been searching for days but hasn't found any clue that would lead him to the secret martial arts book. The sun is almost setting and another day has passed with no results. He can't stay in this place forever, he'll have to take drastic measures. He decides to gather the entire group, telling them to listen carefully. Once the preparations are done, they'll be leaving this place soon. Everyone is excited at the idea of finally leaving, and Mo Byung begins organizing the belongings to prepare for their departure. As everyone starts getting ready, a shadow approaches Quarren. It's Kil Ryung looking desperate, informing him that the cat Bakeseal has been injured, showing the cat's bloodied fur. They had been hunting the cat recently and now it's hurt. Moreover, it's already time for Bakeseal to have returned, so maybe it's really injured. Quarren ponders, thinking about what he can do to help. Does Bakeseal have a territory? Does Kil Ryung know where the cat's territory is? Territory? Yes, the place where he first met the cat. He remembers where he found it. Alright then, let's go, Quarren says he will help. Seriously? Kil Ryung asks. Yes, Quarren confirmed, the cat is basically like family to me, so naturally I'll help. Quarren carries Kil Ryung on his back as they run through the forest in search of the cat. The boy tells him they are getting close to the territory. They race toward the rocks and Kil Ryung points to a spot below, indicating it's there. They both begin searching, calling out for the cat. Bakeseal, Bakeseal, white cat. Suddenly the boy finds something. Look, this is Bakeseal's fur and his blood, the boy says, crying. We're close, Quarren responds. Kitten, where are you? White kitten, Bakeseal. Don't worry, the tracks mean Bakeseal is nearby. If we look a bit more, Quarren says. He spots a massive rock. This is the place, Kil Ryung. As they approach the large rock, Quarren notices a breeze. There may be a hidden passage behind it. He tries to move the rock, but despite using all his strength, it doesn't budge. This isn't working. Quarren shouts, frustrated as he tries again. In the end, despite his best effort, even using all his brain power, he can't move the rock. He considers calling his twin brothers and the instructor for help, but then Kil Ryung finds a hidden passage. Quarren is thrilled, thinking that his effort created the passage, but Kil Ryung, telling him that the passage must have always been there, deflates his happiness. Maybe Bakeseal passed through this hole? It might be dangerous, Quarren says, but let me check inside. He sneaks into the hole and finally squeezes into the cave. It's very dark inside. As he walks further, he realizes it's an expansive space. To think there was such a large cave hidden behind a giant rock. Suddenly, a ray of light hits Quarren, and a mysterious image appears in the light, an apparent man meditating. As Quarren observes, he notices the yin-yang symbol behind the man. That symbol? It can only be. This man is Sejong Sanfeng? Finally, Quarren found him. So, this was where the Taiji Deep Sky Tome had been all this time. Suddenly, he noticed a patch of blood and saw that the white kitten was also there. While the man meditated, the kitten rested nearby and Quarren watched in awe. Some time later, as Bakeseal waited anxiously outside, hair began to emerge from the hole, scaring the boy who thought it was a ghost. However, it was Quarren holding the cat in his hands as Bakeseal cried tears of joy. Quarren hands Bakeseal over to Kil Ryung, who, upon seeing the cat's condition, begins to cry uncontrollably, his body trembling with exhaustion. As Kil Ryung continues sobbing, Quarren remains silent, turning away. His gaze falls on the martial manual he discovered inside the cave. After finding Bakeseal, Quarren clenches his teeth in anger, furious at the cat's condition. Despite the situation, he lets out a bitter laugh before turning back to the injured kitty. Scolding him gently, he says, Kil Ryung has been so worried about you. Upon closer inspection, Quarren feels relieved. The injury isn't severe and can be treated easily. With that settled, his attention shifts to the meditating figure nearby. He wonders if Bakeseal was raised by this martial master. Lifting the cat into his arms, he says, let's get you treated first. Then I'll come back to explore this place. Just as he's about to leave, the figure suddenly begins radiating light once more. Slowly it starts to fade away. Seeing this, Warren rushes forward, realizing that this figure must be connected to a hidden martial art. Now standing outside, Warren examines the martial manual in his hands, deep in thought. He reflects on how fate led him here. If he hadn't followed Bakeseal, he never would have discovered this secret place. In the past, he wouldn't have had the heart to help a child in distress, but now things are different. Closing his eyes, he takes a deep breath. Everything is changing. He envisions a future where his sect isn't destroyed but instead rises to become one of the strongest sects in Henan. His family will remain safe and happy, untouched by misfortune. And no matter what it takes, he will make that happen. After some time, Bakeseal is fully treated. Keel Ryung, still overwhelmed with emotion, continues to cry. His grandfather reassures him, it wasn't a serious injury. He'll recover quickly. Stepping outside after returning Bakeseal to his owner, Warren is immediately met with Byong's furious glare. Her rage is palpable and she looks ready to beat him to a pulp. With arms crossed she snaps, "What took you so long? We've been waiting forever." Warren quickly apologizes, explaining, "Bakeseal was injured and I was worried. I had to go find him." She sighs in frustration. "At the very least, you should have let us know before running off." Finally Warren says, "We can leave now. I found Bakeseal, and I got what I came for." Byong, still eyeing him with suspicion, replies, "We're fully prepared to go. But, what exactly do you mean by, getting what you wanted?" Byong asks Warren if he really found the ginseng. Turning around, he replies that he didn't find the ginseng, but something even more important. She looks at him in disbelief, wondering what could possibly be more valuable than ginseng. Slipping into his usual dramatic flair, Warren smirks confidently and declares, "I've obtained the future." Everyone present is left speechless by his words as he casually takes his leave to change into proper attire. After getting dressed, he approaches the old man and expresses his gratitude, acknowledging that he owes him a great deal. Then he announces that it's time for him to leave. Keel Ryung, clearly upset, asks if Warren is really going. Warren reassures him, "If you ever need help or want to find me," he then takes out a jade emblem, handing it over to the boy. "Take this to Henan and you'll find Warren. He'll help you in any way possible." Keel Ryung, flustered, shyly nods his head, gripping the emblem tightly. Warren smiles and turns away, bidding them all farewell. As Warren departs, the old man watches him go and murmurs, "He's been so kind to us even though we're just simple herb gatherers. He helped us without even knowing who we really are." Then, turning to Byong, he asks if there's a deeper reason for Warren's actions. Warren silently reflects for a moment. At first, his motivation was purely self-interest. He needed something. But as time passed, he grew genuinely attached to Keel Ryung. Finally, he answers with a single phrase, "Because he reminds me of myself." The old man is stunned by his response. As Warren walks away, Keel Ryung calls out after him, "Come visit me soon." Byong, watching the interaction, suddenly asks, "Did you just give him the jade emblem of our clan?" Warren laughs and nods. "I've learned a lot from Keel Ryung," he says. "He's more important than any treasure." A flashback appears. A young Yanawa introduces herself to Warren, saying she will serve him from now on. Then, in another memory, she desperately shouts and begs him to take her in. Warren, startled at first, eventually laughs and accepts her request. Back in the present, as their journey continues, Byong notices Warren smiling to himself and asks what's making him so happy. Warren grins and teases, "Does it look like I'm smiling?" The dumb brothers suddenly speak up, confirming their destination. "So we're heading to the Jaegal clan?" Byong furrows her brow and raises her voice, "Warren, weren't we supposed to meet your fiancée? You're just going to pass by the Jaegal clan without visiting her?" Warren, maintaining his usual calm demeanor, replies, "It's not the right time yet to see my fiancée or visit the Jaegal family." Jungwook, however, disagrees, suggesting that they should at least inform the Jaegal clan of how much Warren has improved. Before they can continue their conversation, a sudden, overwhelming stench of blood fills the air. Everyone freezes, their bodies tensing. Something is wrong. As they continue their march, the group stumbles upon a horrifying sight: thousands of bodies lying lifeless, soaked in what looks like tomato sauce. Seeing this, Warren clenches his fists in anger, but he quickly composes himself. "We shouldn't get involved in other people's battles," he says, deciding to move on and head straight home. However, just as Warren turns his horse to leave, he suddenly stops. "I can't ignore this," he mutters. Among the fallen he spots a familiar crest, one belonging to the Jaegal family. Byung hears a distant sound growing louder. Without hesitation the group rushes toward it. When they reach a certain point, Warren signals for everyone to dismount. "From here we go on foot," he instructs. The brothers, feeling a mix of excitement and tension, ready themselves. "This is our second battle since the Blood Lion," they remind themselves. But Warren, always thinking ahead, warns them, "We can't charge in blindly. We need to assess the situation first." Jungwook nods in agreement. A solid plan would be best. However, as they move forward they come across an even more gruesome sight, a massive pile of corpses. In the distance, Warren spots his sister-in-law, along with one of the Jaegal family's personal guards. They are surrounded by mysterious figures clad in white robes and masks. Among them, Warren notices a familiar face, the young master of the Juga family. He wasn't there before, which means he must have joined later. Suddenly, one of the masked figures wearing a snake mask gives a chilling order, "Kill them." The masked figures charge forward, ready to strike. But just before they can land a blow, an old man steps in, taking the hit instead. He collapses to the ground and the young girl beside him screams in terror. "Uncle!" she cries out, her face pale with fear. Warren quickly analyzes the situation. "This is bad." He turns to his crew. "Who are these people in white?" Byung and Namwook shake their heads, they have no idea. But Warren takes note of their masks and robes, his mind piecing together the clues. Then it hits him. This must be the White-Green Division, he realizes. In the future they would become one of the most ruthless and formidable factions. This all started when Duk Sang, a powerful martial artist, acquired a life-giving pill from the legendary Green Blood Viper. After ascending to the Divine Realm, he formed a fearsome group, using the Green Blood Viper as their symbol. But one thing confuses Warren. Why are they targeting the Jaegal family? If he had more information he could formulate a proper strategy. But as he looks around at the carnage, rage starts to boil inside him. This is too much. He tightens his grip. His eyes glow red, a side effect of the new martial arts technique he's been mastering. Meanwhile, the masked leader, the one wearing the snake mask, suddenly lunges at Warren, blade in hand. Before she can react, a figure appears in front of her, blocking the attack and wounding the masked leader in the process. Warren stares in shock. The man reveals himself, saying, "I am the young master of the young clan." For a brief moment the masked leader hesitates, but then coldly orders his men, "Kill them all." The attackers rush forward, but Warren's squad intercepts them, blocking their strikes with ease. One of the Juga clan members, watching the fight unfold, turns to Warren. "Wait, are you really young Warren?" he asks in disbelief. "I heard you were too sick to even move." Others begin whispering among themselves. But Warren silences them. This isn't the time for talk. One of the younger fighters stares at Warren, trying to understand how he has changed so much in just a year. The masked leader scoffs, staring Warren down. "Who are you people?" Warren smirks, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, just some travelers passing through." The snake-masked leader laughs, unfazed. "It doesn't matter who you are," he says. "You're all going to die here." Warren quickly assesses the situation. They're outnumbered and the Jaegal warriors are too injured to fight. If they face them head-on they won't survive. Byung steps forward, offering to fight alongside Warren, but before she can act, one of the enemy fighters scoffs. "TC, acting all tough but now you're hiding behind a woman?" Warren's smile vanishes. His temper flares. "Say that again," he challenges, stepping forward. "I'll take you on myself." The enemy leader laughs mockingly, thinking Warren is just another reckless young fool. But Warren has already made his decision, and as he charges forward, the battle begins. Byung is about to rush in but is stopped by Namwook, who tells her that the older young masters are no longer present, so it's better to watch Warren and see what he does. Meanwhile, Warren charges toward the masked man, filled with anger, cursing him under his breath. Observing this, Warren starts to think that maybe Warren hasn't truly changed after all. The masked man believes this will be an easy fight as their swords clash, and he taunts Warren, asking if this is what it takes to make him this mad. However, Warren is incredibly focused, his mind sharp and determined to defeat him. He quickly closes the distance and successfully throws the snake off balance. Taking full advantage of the opportunity, he delivers a swift, lethal blow, cutting off one of the snake's fingers. The sudden strike leaves everyone stunned, including the masked man himself. Warren, filled with fury, had wanted to cut off an arm, but at least he managed to minimize the damage. The snake swings his arm in a blind fury, but despite his efforts, it's clear he's been wounded. Yet, the snake still smiles, realizing that his goal was still partially met. Byung is so worried about Warren that she wants to rush to his side, but one of the brothers stops her again, urging her to wait and watch. Warren faces the snake now, telling him that all he needs is a moment of advantage. From here on, it's a matter of luck, he adds, locking eyes with the snake and taking a dominating stance. Shocked by Warren's confidence, the snake listens as Warren orders him to inform their squad leader, Duk, that he is a member of the Hidden Saint cult. From a distance, Warren and the others can hear Warren's voice, though they can't quite make out what he's saying. Jungwook murmurs to Byung, telling her he believes Warren is speaking, but he can't figure out the words. Byung, after a moment, realizes that Warren is using the sound transmission technique, which shocks her. She knows it's not an easy skill to learn, and she can't understand when he managed to master it. As Warren continues to face the snake, he tells him that if he reveals everything he will forgive him and allow him to leave. The masked man grits his teeth in anger, asking how Warren knows the name of their squad leader, Duk, and who he really is. Warren feels the pressure. The man still doesn't believe him, despite Warren knowing such specific details. Warren, observing from a distance, realizes that Warren is in a tight spot. But before he can think too much, the masked man presses his sword to Warren's neck, demanding that he explain himself clearly. Warren takes a deep breath and begins explaining, saying, 5 years ago when the Hidden Saint cult was eradicated by the 3 demonic heavens, I was there. He pauses and then asks the snake, are you one of the people trying to revive the cult? The snake responds with suspicion, asking if Warren is truly a part of the Hidden Saint cult. Warren boldly declares, yes, I am a man from the Hidden Saint cult. The snake moves closer, his sword poised to strike, but he hesitates and stops it at Warren's neck. His allies call out to check on his safety. The snake finds it hard to believe that Warren, barely 20 years old, knows the name of their squad leader and has such knowledge about the Hidden Saint cult. Still skeptical, the snake decides to test Warren one last time. I will believe you if you can answer one question, he challenges. Which heaven of the Hidden Saint cult do you belong to? Warren remains calm, knowing that this is a test. He doesn't show any outward expression, for he knows the snake is trying to gauge him. Based on his knowledge from the future, Warren understands that the Hidden Saint cult is currently divided into 3 factions rather than a single unified one. The Sun Saint cult, which seeks power above all else. The Moon Saint cult, which is focused on religion. And finally, the Hidden Saint cult, which seeks to mediate between the two. It's unclear which faction the Green Blood Viper is connected to. While it seems unlikely that the Hidden Saint cult or the Moon Saint cult would create an assassin organization, it makes more sense that the Sun Saint cult might be behind such a thing. Still, Warren can't entirely rule out the possibility that the Moon Saint cult or Hidden Saint cult could be involved. It's all a gamble, but it's a risk he's always been willing to take. In the end, he chooses to bet on the most likely scenario. With confidence, Warren declares that he is from the Sun Saint cult. The masked man falls silent, then orders his group to leave. Once they depart, Warren remains still. Suddenly, blood starts pouring from his mouth. It's the result of the internal injury from the earlier strike. Byung rushes to him, but his consciousness begins to fade. Later that evening, Warren awakens from a restless sleep and overhears people rushing to finish their work. The bodies have all been cleaned up, and Warren observes without speaking. He notices his sister-in-law, who looks troubled as she approaches him and hands him something. This is my clan's healing medicine, she says. It should heal your internal injuries. Warren reassures her that it's unnecessary as he didn't expect anything in return. She says nothing but turns away, then quietly adds, please take it. As she walks off, she mutters a soft thank you, and Warren is taken aback, smiling quietly to himself. Byung, noticing the exchange, approaches and comments, I didn't know our little shoddy had a cute side. She explains that the medicine is a rare remedy given only to the direct descendants of the Jagal clan. She hadn't expected him to receive it. Warren, still focused, tells her that she should make her presence more obvious next time, as he was startled by her sudden approach. Instead of listening, Byung snaps at him, telling him that she was scared. She had thought that he had completely forgotten about her when he rushed toward the assassins. In a nervous tone, Warren tries to explain, I was just trying to save everyone. Byung moves closer, resting her head on his shoulder. Why have you changed so much? She asks. Just a few months ago you resented the world and yourself. You lived each day like it was hell. That's the person I knew. She looks up at him, her voice filled with admiration. But today you risked your life for everyone. I'm so impressed and proud of you. But why are you pushing yourself so hard? As memories of the past and the events of the day cloud his mind, Warren quietly replies, I'm just doing my best. The next day they begin their journey toward the Jaegal clan's estate. As they walk, the older brother takes the opportunity to speak. Thank you so much for accompanying us to our clan. As you can see, we're short on people with combat skills. If those assassins were to appear again, we'd be in serious trouble. Don't worry, Warren replies. I was already on my way to the Jaegal clan anyway. Ah, I see. You're here to meet Cheongyang, your future wife, right? At that moment, the younger sister joins the conversation. What do you like about her? She asks confidently. Is it because she's strong? Or because she's beautiful? Warren remains silent while Byung eyes him with suspicion. Then Quarren speaks up. May I ask you both a question? Of course, ask whatever you like, the older brother responds. Without hesitation, Quarren asks, why were assassins attacking the Jaegal clan? Both siblings exchange looks as if hiding something. Quarren continues, the Jaegal clan is undoubtedly one of the most powerful in the region. And this area is practically the front yard of the Jaegal estate. So what could have drawn assassins here? The younger sister quickly replies, it was just a coincidence. Maybe they simply ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. However, the older brother refutes her claim. No, it wasn't a coincidence. He risked his life to save us. He deserves to know. I'm not sure of the exact reason, he admits, but those assassins were trying to kidnap my little sister. The young lady of the Jaegal clan? Even though they killed our warriors without hesitation, they made sure not to harm Yohei. One thing is certain, there's a group that harbors ill will toward our clan. If they want to abduct her, it means they must be after something in exchange. I already knew we had enemies targeting us, but this incident has crossed the line. Deep in thought, the older brother analyzes the situation. Could it be that the martial artists attacked us because that information leaked? Finally, they arrive at their destination, the Jaegal clan. Before the protagonist stands a grand entrance, fitting for one of the most powerful clans in the region. As they continue walking, a thought crosses Warren's mind. After all this time, I'll finally see her again, my dear Cheongyang. In his past life, the marriage between him and Cheongyang had been arranged long before they were even born. However, their lives had been completely different. He had been sickly, while she had dedicated herself entirely to martial arts. Back then, Cheongyang only cared about seeking and mastering martial arts. Gradually, she distanced herself from him, until finally, Yong clan heir, let's go greet the clan leader. Alright, let's go. Everyone, I'll be back soon. Take this time to rest. Walking directly toward the grand palace entrance, they finally step into the main hall. Yong Warren of the Tianzhong clan greets you. But before he can react, the man before him vanishes from his seat, only to reappear beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. He bursts into hearty laughter. Perhaps it's just his imagination, but Warren appears completely healthy, nothing like the frail boy he had last seen. And so, the man is introduced, Jaegal Chiak, the head of the Jaegal clan, also known as the Heaven Ruling Sword. It's been a long time. In any case, how is your clan leader doing? He's well. My father asked me to send his regards. Haha, I see. Meanwhile, Jaegal Chiak examines Warren, running his hands over his arms and shoulders. You have a strong physique. I can tell you've been training in martial arts. Cheongyang will surely be pleased to see you. I am unworthy of your praise. I've already taken up too much of your time. I shouldn't be keeping you here when someone else is waiting for you, should I, clan leader? Just as Warren turns to leave, Jaegal Chiak stops him. There is another guest who arrived before you. You're close in age, so perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea for the two of you to talk. Understood. I'll go meet him. Now alone in the room, the father and son face each other. Alright, let's talk. A sinister aura emanates from the clan leader. What exactly happened during your journey? Meanwhile, as Quarren descends the stairs, he has already greeted the clan leader. Now it's time to meet his future wife. As he walks, he notices two people arguing. I told you they're not here right now. I said you just need to say my name to them. That guy. The man suddenly turns his head and locks eyes with the protagonist, while the woman quietly slips away. The two men stare at each other. Well, look who it is. Aren't you the heir of the Tianzhong clan? Greetings. I am Jiaquang of the Songchum clan. He grins and extends his hand in greeting. Diske, so he's the other guest? Jiaquang mutters. You're here to see Lady Cheongyang, aren't you? I thought I was the first to arrive. Hello, Jiaquang. It's a pleasure to meet you, Warren replies, gripping his hand firmly. I've heard quite a bit about the Songchun clan. Jiaquang scoffs. I came here to meet the woman who was supposed to be my fiancée before I was even born. I didn't expect to find you here. His expression twists with disgust. I also heard you haven't been feeling well lately. Before the tension can escalate, the older brother steps in. You two are both here to see Qianyang? He asks. She's probably in the courtyard right now. The courtyard? Both men react with surprise at the unexpected information. However, before they can process it, a sword suddenly comes flying toward them, nearly striking both of them. Quarren's eyes widen in shock. That's my fiancé. On the training grounds, a man stands frozen, a blade inches from his throat. I surrender, my lady, he stammers. With a subtle movement, she sheathes her sword. That was boring, she mutters. And so, Jagal Qianyang is introduced. She is undeniably beautiful, but honestly, I prefer Baiyang. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, it really helps. And for more content like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see another part. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time. Bye-bye.